This reminds me a story some years ago, something like 20 years ago. I made a reservation in a restaurant in Israel, in Jerusalem, and I called for a reservation for a table. I say, Maurice, Levy. I say, how do you spell your name? I say, Levy. Can you say it? I said, Lamed Vav Yud. I don't understand. This is a Jewish name? So I see that they have still problems for the pronunciation of my name. I'm coming from France and I'm coming from Europe, a region where there is always some flavor of anti-Semitism, even though if we cannot say that the countries or the states are anti-Semitic. Obviously not, and obviously they are punishing this. If you look at the crisis and the Jews, the first thing that we have to say is that the crisis is blind, and that as a blind crisis, everyone is affected. And some are more affected than some others, and there are people who have lost their house, their jobs, etc., due to the crisis. So we should not complain as Jews, because for once we have been affected as the other ones, period. If we look back and we take a little bit of time to think about, obviously there are some elements which are making this crisis a little bit more difficult for the Jews than for others. And Maud has been very clear on the reason. First, people think that, everything which is linked to brokers, traders, bankers, financial world, Wall Street, has something to do with the Jewry. Second, there is this unfortunate Madoff thing, which has created a terrible image because not only has robbed, cheated the Jews, but also the non-Jews. He has been quite fair on that. But there is a clear, strong, negative image against the Jews. So, on the short term, the consequence and the risk is clearly that some associations, some organizations, which are philanthropists, which are very important for the tissue of the Jews in the world, may be more affected and may be very short in terms of money. They have to cut programs, they have to cut their employees, they have to cut a lot of expenses, and they cannot support the education of the kids, to help a lot of people who are in need of health care, or to give some helps to the state of Israel. And that is a damage which is immediate. But this damage, hopefully, will be overcome. And the real problem for me is the longer term. In the longer term, where we will see a lot of people writing about this moment, when we will see a lot of journalists, of historians, or so-called historians, we will explain that as they have been able to do, and there are still people who believe that 9/11 has been fabricated. So what do you think that people can write about this crisis, where you have so many Jews who are involved, and say, okay, there is a plot to destroy the financial planet, and that the Jews will try to take over the world through other means. And this is something which, I'm exaggerating maybe, but the real issue for me is how people who are in their genes anti-Semitic, for reasons they don't understand, they cannot explain, that they are part of this world which is refusing that the Jews have the full position, how these people will receive the news and how they will be reacting. And for me, the most important issue for the future is the fact that this will fuel anti-Semitism. And unfortunately, till now, we have not been able to fight anti-Semitism correctly. If we had been able to do that, it should not exist anymore. And I believe that there is a real danger, which is much more important than the money that we have lost, than the stock that has been depreciated, than the charities. We will not have the money to support some social welfare. And the real issue is that we, the Jews, are responsible, or we have a bigger share of responsibility in this crisis than other people. And as such, we are fueling the anti-Semitism. I know it is a pessimistic approach. I am somebody very optimistic by nature, also by education, and also the job that I'm doing. I'm an advertising guy, so I'm trying to make people's lives easier, optimistic, with more smile and a little bit more colored life. And nevertheless, when I think about the future and I think about this aspect, I think that we have a real danger, and the only way to fight against this danger is to start now.